A Ring for Christmas by Josephine Biantima. This sounds like a goodbye, Elle said. It is. Noah was not going to lie about this. It wouldn't be fair to Elle to lie. What if I don't want it to be? Elle questioned. I let you dodge me for the past week, but I am tired of letting you just avoid this. I deserve better. She did deserve better. Noah held out a hand. He was going to regret this, but he wanted to prolong the moment. Can I have this dance? Elle hesitated a moment, but put her hand in his. This doesn't get you out of an explanation. There was no explanation that was going to satisfy Elle, he instinctively knew. Noah gently took her in his arms, and they began to sway to the music. He held her close and breathed in her perfume. He was glad that she chose not to talk. He didn't have any answers for her. When the song ended, Noah cradled her face in his hands and gave her a single kiss, and did the hardest thing he ever had to do. He walked away. A Ring for Christmas by Josephine Biantima. Chapter 1. Elle wiped whipped cream off her blouse and wished she had taken the time to put on an apron. She twisted the bag again, and this time piped the cream perfectly onto the dessert. A little cinnamon was added, and the rice pudding was ready. A bell was going off, and a voice cried out in heavy Spanish, "Table 4." This is ridiculous. It was too busy, and they could use another server to help. She pushed her raven hair that had fallen out of her bun back behind her ears, grabbed the puddings and pie, distributing them among table 8. She promised refills on coffee, and then raced back to the kitchen. There was a moment of confusion as she had to separate table 4's order from table 1's. This was a waste of time. She had no idea how her parents dealt with this. Of course, there were 2 of them and only 1 of her. Plus, she was out of practice. She hadn't worked at her parents' diner in years. She served tables 4 and 1 in a rush, accidentally bumping into someone. He grabbed her shoulders to steady her. Elle looked up into brown eyes, curly black hair in need of a cut, a trimmed black beard, and a mesmerizing smile. He was a heartbreaker for sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you. That's okay. He had a sexy voice to match. No harm done. She edged around him and acknowledged that the coffee pot was coming to table 8. She needed help. Elle burst into the kitchen. Polly, is there any way you can help out front? I know you have some waiting experience. Who will bust the tables and do the dishes? Questioned Polly. Did Aurora ever say when she was going to come back? She asked in exasperation. Aurora was one of the waitresses. She tended to be unreliable. Elle wondered when her parents would get around to firing the girl. Polly rolled his eyes. Your guess is as good as mine. Elle turned to Ramos. ¿Me puedes ayudar? Ramos shook his head and explained in Spanish that he was just a cook. Elle threw her hands in the air and grabbed the coffee pot. She began making the rounds. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the strangers she had bumped into, perusing the job board that her parents kept up at the back of the diner. It was a great way to get customers in, and it helped the community. Maybe she should advertise for a waiter on it. She looked at the guy and thought that she had seen him before. He must have been in to check the board multiple times. Miss, could I see your dessert menu? An elderly lady tugged on her sleeve. Elle forced a smile. Sure, I'll have it to you in just a moment. Forget advertising. She needed someone now before she lost her mind. Elle marched up to the handsome stranger and put out her hand in greeting. Hi, I'm Elle, and we are hiring. Do you have any experience in bussing tables and doing dishes? Can you start immediately? I'm Max, he said as he took her hand. He had a nice handshake. Yes, to starting immediately. No, I have no experience in bussing or dishes, but I promise I learn very quickly. If you don't like my work, you can always fire me. Elle decided to take a chance. She liked to smile. Too bad when she shook his hand, she didn't feel a single thing. No thrill, no desire, Not even a twinge that said he had to be the one. Her mother always told her to wait for the man who made her heart sing. She was still waiting. "You're hired. You can start right now." Elle walked briskly to the kitchen. "Polly will show you what to do. Polly, this is Max. Start him on dishes, then you can buss and help me. Once he has the hang of that, we will put him on bussing tables." If Polly or Ramos had any reservations about the idea, they didn't say. Polly began training, with Max intently listening. Elle had a good feeling about this. Hopefully, in the next couple of days, things would calm down with an extra person to help. "Ma'am, could I get the bill, please?" Elle nodded and promised it would be coming right up. 58 days until her parents returned from their trip back to the old country. 58 days to try to hold on to her sanity before her life returned to normal. "Miss, the coffee?" Elle gritted her teeth. She wasn't meant to be running a restaurant. Her parents had named the place after her, hoping one day she would take it over. Instead, she had worked hard to get a degree at a local college. She was now a nutritionist at the local hospital. She had a good job. However, to help her parents, she was using up all of her vacation, plus a few weeks of extra leave, to cover for them while they were on vacation. It was their first vacation in 20 years, so Elle felt that she had to fill in the gap. Running a restaurant was more than just a full-time job. The next time she went into the kitchen, she found Ramos laughing at Max. She asked the cook what was so funny. Ramos replied in Spanish that the new hire was just learning that things need to be woman clean, not man clean, before they go into the dishwasher. Otherwise, the food became like cement on the pots and pans. "Yeah, well, who knew dishwashers didn't really wash dishes?" Max replied in Spanish. He was hunched over the sink and scrubbing a pan. "They wash dishes just fine." Polly dumped another tote full of dishes and cutlery from the restaurant. He exchanged his dirty rag for a clean one, slinging it over his shoulder. "Just make sure you get all the food off." "I promise. I have learned that lesson." Max scrubbed harder. The dishwasher chimed and he put the pot back in to soak before unloading and reloading the dishwasher. At least he had time management skills, Elle thought. Ramos dished up table 7, and Elle balanced the plates on her arms and headed out into the restaurant. Even with the new help, it was still too much. They were behind. She could use another set of hands for food prep. Elle hurried her steps and did the best she could. Fortunately, they were going to make great tips. "Elle, dearie." Thelma, an elderly regular, grabbed her by her sleeve. "Who is the hunky guy you brought into the kitchen?" Elle laughed. The seniors were always her favorite. They had reached a point in life where they just said what they thought. "That is Max. He's learning how to wash dishes." "Well, he can wash dishes at my house any day," Thelma tittered. "I will tell him that." Elle grinned. "Oh, don't you dare." Thelma blushed and tittered some more. "You bad girl." Elle winked, then returned to working. Maybe there were some things about working at the diner that she did miss. However, sore feet wasn't one of them. By the end of the night, it looked like their new employee had managed to master the dishwasher. He no longer burned his hands or did a half job at pre-washing. Elle was relieved. Bussing tables was the easy part as long as he continued to have good time management skills. Things would be easier tomorrow, which was good because her feet were killing her. She counted out the bank deposit for the night as Polly and Max wiped down chairs and tables, refilled napkins, checked the salt and pepper shakers. Ramos cleaned the kitchen, shining it to perfection as always. As they wrapped it up, Ramos and Polly left. Max lingered. "Did you need anything else?" "I think we're done here for today," Elle said. "Payday is Thursday. You will get your first check next week. If you can be here for meal rushes, you have got the job." She outlined the times and gave him some paperwork to fill out. "Thank you, Elle," Max said. "I really appreciate this chance." "I should warn you, it is probably only temporary. I don't actually run the diner. It is my parents' business. When they come back from their trip abroad, they will determine for certain if you stay." "When do they come back?" Max asked. 2 months, just in time for Christmas," Elle said. "Well, I will just have to do what I can to make sure that they give me a good reference." Max smiled. "Good night, Elle." "Good night, Max." Elle watched him leave. It was too bad he didn't cause any sparks for her. Of course, she hadn't kissed him yet, so there was still a chance. She finished locking up and took the bank deposit to drop off on her way home. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Your time and attention are truly appreciated. If audiobooks are your thing, you can listen to full novels on My Secret Obsession at Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, and Apple. If you enjoyed this reading, please follow, subscribe, or give a thumbs up. Your support means everything to me. Until we meet again, goodbye and happy reading.